Good morning, it's Frugal here. As always, I have my coffee because otherwise somebody might just get killed. So today we're going to be looking at the Franc app, right? And we're going to be talking about, this cool app. What is it? What does it do? Do a bit of a walkthrough and just understand, who should invest in the Franc app. So just a bit of background, the Franc app is basically an app where you can invest money. So they've got quite a couple of nifty features. You can, for example, set up goals and save towards those goals. They can be recurring, or you can set up if it's a recurring payment, you can do instant EFTs, and you can change the goal if you want to. So there's quite a couple of really cool goals that we're going to just check through. Is it maybe an emergency fund? Is it that you want to work with investments? Want to invest more? It might be that you're saving for retirement. But this app generally, for me, is very much for people that don't understand a lot about the complexities. And I get this query a lot where people ask me, okay, but what should I invest in? And the problem is, well, what should you invest in? It's a really complex question, and many people don't have the finances to go to a financial planner and spend quite a bit of money with that. So what they've got is they've got a robo-advisor which helps you and guides you and points you in the right direction about where you can invest that money. I'm going to talk a little bit about allocation and a little bit about a couple of other words as well, which is going to make sense in a bit. But I want us to do a walkthrough because it's important that we understand what is happening, why it's happening, and why this is happening in the Franc app. So let's start that walkthrough then. So they've tried to make it really, really simple for us, okay? So what we'll do is we'll start with a couple of steps. The first step being the sign up. So obviously you need to give your information on there, and the reason you need to give your information is, well, poppy, right? So then what you can do is you can create a goal. Now when you create the goal, make it achievable for yourself as well. So you need to be able to say, okay, I want to get this much money, I need to do this with it, and this is where I want to reach. And then the third step, obviously, you need to set up a payment method, right? Because you obviously need to get that money into the Franc app so that they can invest it for you. So I think let's start with signing up. Okay, so everybody knows me. That would be me, a frugal local. And obviously my email address and my details. I mean, it's really fairly simple actually. What I can mention here as well is that what's really cool is that the app, it is secure. Obviously, Franc is registered with all the needed bodies, so it's not just that they're going to disappear, which is really cool. And then obviously as well, top class security, which I've spoken to the devs as well. They're really nice. So, and there you'll see is my special code. So if you sign up with that code, you're going to get a bit of a helping there, a bit of extra bucks. If you top up with $500, we'll throw a bit of extra cash in there for you as well. And that's how simple it is to sign up. So let's get back now. So first step one complete. We're going to now go into the goal setup. So depending on what your goals are financially, you can decide what you want to do. So for example, you can decide if it is an emergency fund, and if it's saving for investing, you can decide for what you're looking for with that. So, for example, it could be that you are saving for education. It could be that you're saving for property, right? You want to buy your first property. It might be a wedding or a big purchase. And we know that a lot of these things, they're not that, it's not that easy to save. But I have to say, it's really cool that you can have the goal, you can set it. And I'll show you actually later how you can change it. So once you've selected your goal, you need to decide, are you going to invest regularly, or are you going to, invest towards a target? What's cool about investing regularly is you're going to be saying, okay, I want to invest this much money every single month until I reach that. So, for example, you can say, you want to have 100,000 Rand, which does happen, or 10,000 Rand. It might be a million, but, just how much you need. Then you're going to say, I want it by this date. So by this date, I need to be able to have that money in place. So for me, 2025 sounds good for now. So that means I'm going to have to, according to that breakdown, if we are being very, very conservative, right? And remember, it's always good being extremely conservative because we don't know what the future will hold. So what they're doing is they're using the Allen Gray Money Market Fund as their benchmark, which is if all their money is in there, how long and how much will you need to save? Remember, if you're going to be extra conservative, it's going to be best for you, because what you're going to do then basically is you're going to say, okay, for this amount of money, I'm probably going to reach my goal earlier if it's going well. But if it's not going well, at least I will reach that goal. Especially when we talk about things like retirement, that is exceptionally important that we do that, right? So, and especially with coffee as well, because we sort of need good coffee. So you'll see there that you can actually go and change it per month, per week, or even once off, right? So you can go and say, listen, I'm going to put this amount of money once off into this thing, and you can put the 100,000 rand just there, and say, I'm saving it for a wedding, and then just let it grow. You might also say, listen, you want to let it sit for a while. Now, once you've set your goal, you need to decide what is your risk appetite, right? Because not everybody's risk appetite is the same. So you can decide here, are you going to take an assessment? Now, this is where the robo-advisor comes in. Or are you just going to say, well, I'm just going to do what I am? So I'm going to just put in my details here. You'll see that I am 36 years old at the moment. Can you believe it? I'm really old. And then what's your net monthly income? 1,000 Rand. Yes, so I'm making 1,000 Rand a month. And then how much are my costs? That is your expenses. That is how much your everyday stuff is costing you, your coffee, right? So $300, and that sounds about right, hey? I mean, and then what's your debt total? Now, I'm really cool. I don't have any debt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that in there. Then your highest level of education, and then we're going on now to any large expenses that you might be expecting. So for example, if you've got an emergency fund already, obviously you'd be able to pay that from there. So you're not going to need the cash immediately, which means the risk of yourself goes down. And you can invest in a little bit high risky things, right? If you know that you're going to be okay. So how much have you currently saved? 3 months of expenses for an emergency fund. That should be enough, right? So I like that number because 3,000 sounds about right for me. So I'm going to add that in. Now they say I'm quite bold, but I think I'm actually freaking risky because I'm still a little bit young. So I'm going to put, I've got another 20 years before I technically need to retire, right? According to the big numbers. So I'm going to go and I'm going to say, well, how much? No, I'm going to put like lots more money right in there, right? I'm going to put 100% in equities rather than in the money market. So I can still decide here. And if I want to be a bit more conservative, I can be. What's cool about this is that you can adjust it, and you can then, the robo-advisor does give you a clue about what do you think. Remember, investing all your money in equities is a little bit more risky than just in cash, and it does change day by day. So let's go on now to the payments, right? You need to go and add payments in there. So basically what that would mean is you would say, listen, this is my bank, and this is how I want to actually pay the money into there. So they've got a couple of really, really cool options. Now, I'm just mentioning here, for SARS and for tax purposes, you need to say, where is your money going to come from, right? You need to be able to say, I'm going to get my money through my salary. I'm going to get my money through, money that I inherited. I get my money through the coffee that I gave up, which is definitely not me, if I can mention. So, but it's very important that you just look at, here, your goal information, what you want to achieve, how much you need, and how you want to get there. Then you're going to select your bank. Now, you can do an instant EFT. Now, all the other platforms that I'm aware of actually charge you if you have to do an instant EFT. What's quite cool is you can decide, do I want an EFT from my side? So if you are extremely security conscious and you're like, okay, I don't trust anybody, nobody whatsoever, even if the people have got all the licenses, what you can do is you can say, listen, I'm going to do the bank payment myself. You can set up the recurring payment from your bank side. Or what you can do is you can go and say, listen, I trust these guys, and they can do an EFT and basically put it over, pull it from their side into my bank account. So what is really cool is they give you instructions on how to do it on your banking side. So for example, if you want to add them as a recipient, if you want to do the payment, they actually tell you from your bank how to do it. And then just say, listen, set up a recurring payment from your bank so that you don't have to worry about this the whole time, right? The big thing is that what you want to do is that remember that reference number, but you want to make it as little as possible effort from your side, right? You want to make sure that it's not a big schlep. So my suggestion on that is keep it simple, keep it recurring, keep it out of sight, out of mind, 2 or 3 days after your salary comes into your account. get that money out of your account, right, into some place where you can invest it. So I want to mention here, next, if you want to edit the goal, you'll see there, I've just went there, I've said edit the goal, and I can now change my original goal. Because what happens if I've reached my goal of my wedding or of my, whatever the goal might be here, so it might be something small like a big purchase, a holiday that I want to go, I can change it later on, which I find really, really, really cool. And I can change the way that I want to do it, which, could be, listen, per month, now I want to do it per week, because some people do get paid per week. So the cool thing is you've got a single view of it, you've got a quick view, there's not a lot of detail and not a lot of stuff and a lot of clutter. It's really simple for you to use. And you'll find that if you want to go check there in the help section, there's a lot of details about what you can do, what you should, where you can check big terms. So just a quick reminder, you guys need to make sure that you have verified your account, because obviously if you are going to put money in and withdraw the money, you're going to have to make sure that you are actually registered in all the right places, that they've got your FICA, RICA, PICA, ICA, MICA, and all of those other card documentations. So make sure that you do submit that, right? And that because if you do want to do withdrawals, or there's going to be money involved in transactions, they need to make sure that they comply with legal paperwork. So, and obviously you can verify your email address, your contact details. I highly recommend doing that, because if you don't and something happens, you need to make sure that everything is going to be okay. So, that is my overview of the Franc app. And it's a lot that I've gone through, I know, but I can tell you this. If you don't know what to invest in and you are just going to throw your money around, throw it into different things on other apps or in other brokers, and you don't have a clue what you're doing, it might be a good idea to start just with something like this, something like the Franc app that can just help you get into investing. This is an app for everyday investors. Yes, I know. You might say, listen, what about the other features? Well, in my opinion, if you don't know where to start, you don't need extra features. You shouldn't. It should be simple as pie. It should be so simple just to say, here you go. What's my risk appetite? What are the options? 2 or 3 options, not too many. And here we go. I can invest. So I believe that we need to talk about fees now. The Franc app charges a 1% per annum fee of entire fund value, which I think, if you look at what a broker would cost you, right? If you're using a financial advisor, it's probably going to be quite a bit more than that. So it is really quite cool that you can actually invest directly in the app. You can let it sit and they will do all the paperwork for you and everything else, which I find really cool. It's really, really nifty. They also don't charge for the instant EFT, which most other platforms do charge for. And it's really simple to use. It's not extremely complicated, which I find a very, very good selling point. You do not want to have like the complexities of, battling about where and how and like where and the fees and everything too much. You don't want all of that information, what the hell do I do with all of that? You don't want information overload. So what I suggest is, if you're new to investment, this is a really cool place to start. It's really cool, and you can put the money in. They are really fast with withdrawals and money in. And I think the offering is good. It is really good if you just want to start. So that is my overview of the Franc app. Now that you know about the Franc app, have a wonderful day and happy investing.